When I start to lose, what is the virtual equivalent of flipping the board?
But if you plan to go back into the platform and play more games, the system or the algorithm will see, oh, this person is a bit of a bad person, bad karma. So let's not, specifically for stand-up comedy. How did it all started for you?
Never intended to be a stand-up comedian. It was never something that I was like, I want to do this. I want to try this. I'd be good at it. So there I was, like a small child in the middle of the night watching like Flying Circus and other Monty Python things.
What was that moment when you felt, okay, I'm actually a comedian now? How do you know that you have created this joke and the joke is ready for a stage?
Like, if you think it tastes good, then put it out there and see what people think.
It's your gut feeling. So it's a gut feeling.
It can be a gut feeling, or you think it's funny.
What was the best audience reaction that you ever had?
When people lose total control of themselves and they make noises.
What about the opposite? What was like the worst reaction you had? That thin line between being funny and being offensive. Where do you stand?
We have a thing in comedy. We always say, like, don't punch down,
What is dark humor for you then? What first made you interested in connection between humor and mental health?
So weirdly, I spent a lot of time in a morgue as a child.
Facing death. What really happens when you laugh in the middle of a grief or in the middle of a crisis? How is it helping?
In order to laugh at something, you have to be able to put like a mental distance a little bit from it. And looking at things in a humorous way can give you a different perspective.
Is there any Portuguese habit or tradition that you have adopted?
I love the Portuguese art of complaining.
I need to teach me that. What do you mean by that? Hello, Jen. Nice to see you again. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for accepting this invitation and the courage to be here speaking to me about these topics and to play Azul, which I know that you've never played before. So I hope it's going to be a pleasant experience ultimately for you as well.
Yeah, I've seen it around, but I've never know nothing about it.
Yeah, probably you've seen the box around because I know that in the Fuse, the box is there. I've played that copy in the Fuse. So maybe one day you can look at the copy differently once you pass near it. Okay. So you present yourself on social media as a writer, comedian, an event host, a producer as well. So many topics here that I like and I would like to explore with you. So thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I was wondering when I met you, of course, at the Defuse quiz, you were recording everything and I was a little nervous. Like, what are you going to do with this video? But you put it together really nicely. I like seeing that. And I'm excited to be here as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just promoting. So I hope it also helps for your quiz to reach out to more people to go and experience. By the way, it was a great show. I enjoyed the most. Although and
you got a prize though. You didn't win, but you got a prize. Well, you got the chaos prize.
Yeah, I got the matches. The matches.
You got matches, a book of matches. That's right.
The consolation prize. Not sure if that term exists.
Chaos prize. Chaos prize.
Chaos. Okay. Good. So before we start into the serious topics today, Jen, the serious ones. Because this is a board games or a games channel. So what is your connection with board games? And by the way, you don't forget we're playing Azul, so you have the first play as well.
My connection with board games. So I do enjoy games, but in the last decade or so, I've had to shift to collaborative games rather than competitive games because I have that, horrible thing inside me that makes me lose friends. And this is one of my first experiences with this online game platform. And I do have a question before we start, which is when I start to lose, what is the virtual equivalent of flipping the board?
You leave the game, right? You can close the tab and you leave the game. But the platform foresees that. So there's a karma system behind. If you do that, you'll accumulate negative karma. So that's only
not as satisfying. It's just not as satisfying as
no. There's not anything that will come over my face. But if you plan to go back into the platform and play more games, the system or the algorithm will see, oh, this person is a bit of a bad person, bad karma. So let's not provide games or match with games. So that's the consequence.
I see.
For people like you, Jen.
Yeah, I know. I'm a monster, but we'll try our best. It won't come out today. Don't worry.
So that's your connection. When you say cooperative games, you're talking about really board games or cooperative activities? I'm not sure.
Both. So some of my favorite board games right now, like I really like Space Team, if you've ever played that, where you have 5 minutes to save your rocket ship, like your spaceship, otherwise it will explode. So you have to work together to fix all these problems.
That's
Uh,
Among Us, the game, or something else?
it's called Space Team.
Space Team. That's a board game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, I think I have it
I,
right here. Space Team.
Space Team. Never seen
Yeah.
that.
It's a
Okay.
shouty game, so everybody is simultaneously yelling at each other. And it's only 5 minutes long. So it's great if you have a short attention span and at least,
Okay.
3 or 4 friends.
Okay. Is there any traitor between the team, the space team? Someone that is playing an opposite role and trying to destroy the ship?
Nope. It's just
No.
pure teamwork.
Pure teamwork. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so the challenge is the time limit.
You mentioned Mysterium as
Yeah, I
well.
really like Mysterium as well. I like that because it is also pretty cooperative and it's a little bit abstract, little
You,
artistic, little open, and kind of slow and casual. So I like that. I just can't handle people trash talking me. I just can't handle it. So these
so you
kinds of
don't like to
games
be
work
the
best.
ghost then? You don't like to be the ghost.
I like being the ghost.
And
I don't mind, but
people don't trash talk you when you are the ghost, like, oh, these clues, I don't understand these clues, right? What are you trying to tell me with these clues?
it's a different kind of trash talk than if you're playing like Catan or something and people are like, "You're gonna lose. You suck." You know,
Okay,
too
that's a
sensitive.
salty talk. Okay, you also play Catan then. At least you have experience with
I
the trash
used
talk.
to. I used to. Again, I had to sort of step away from competitive games.
Hmm. Wow, now you're creating that image of be aware if you bring Jen to a board game table, right? And you play something competitive because it feels like you transform into something very nasty. So
Yeah. Or fun, depending, but
or
probably
fun, yeah.
mostly nasty. Probably
Depends.
mostly nasty,
Depends.
yeah.
Thank you for that image that we have already created. So, yep, for the proper context. So, you have experience or you host stand up comedy events. Some of them are in board game places, right? In the past, but specifically for stand up comedy. How did it all started for you?
It's really interesting. I never intended to be a stand-up comedian. It was never something that I was like, I want to do this, I want to try this, I'd be good at it. It just came really organically. I'm primarily a writer, like a copywriter, a fiction writer, and comedy grew out of writing in an interesting way. Like I'm a member of this writing group, and we would write for an hour and then share what we wrote. And I found myself starting to write funny stories in the hour and then sharing them
Hmm.
after and really enjoying people laughing at those stories. So it just sort of, I realized, oh, I like doing this funny stuff. It's nice. And then I had an opportunity. A friend of mine started like a female comedy lab and was open to storytellers. So I went there the first night and I told a fiction story about a woman's point of view as she's unboxing, like all of her thoughts, feelings, and emotions as she's unboxing a full size sex robot. So it's just sort of
Uh-huh.
this like experience, funny story, funny emotional experience. And then it just grew from there. People came up after and asked if I would perform at a different kind of funny stand up night. And then it kept happening until eventually I just started doing more stand up, fewer stories. And yeah, now I'm an addict. Like I do it at least 3 times a week, sometimes five.
3 times a week, yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, I've left all your links for your social media and your projects on the video description. So if someone is interested in follow up, attend, or even to reach out and speak to you about these topics, feel free to do that. And let me remind you that we have to play Azul, so it's on your side, right? I know that you're getting distracted because I'm touching that favorite topic, right? But don't forget that now the real
Right,
struggle will start, right? When you
right.
need to talk about that and choose the right tiles. Okay. And so,
Here we go.
do you have any comedic influences that help you to get into this area while you were growing up?
Yeah, I had kind of a strange childhood. When was, I grew up on a farm out in the middle of nowhere, and we weren't like allowed to watch TV or have much access to things outside of there. And what I would do is stay up really late at night. And here we go. After my parents went to sleep, I would sneak downstairs and watch like the public access channel, which would always air Monty Python. So there I was, like a
Okay.
small child in the middle of the night watching like Flying Circus and other Monty Python things. So I think that really influenced me, sort of a bit of a dark humor, a bit of a, let's see, gotta choose something in the middle, kind of absurd as well.
Hmm. Okay. And then what was that moment where you started practicing, going to the labs, etc., and you felt, okay, I'm actually a comedian now?
Um, Sometimes oh, it's not my turn. Okay. I'm
It's me. It's
overzealous
me.
here. Okay.
So Jen. Sometimes I'm looking to the side, and on the video, I'm always looking to the side. So I've heard that I'm being disrespectful for the guests because I'm talking to the person and playing at the same time, doing something else. So that's the core of the show, right? Is both of us are doing something at the same time as we speak. So yeah, don't be offended if I'm looking at the side while you speak.
I don't
Just
even have
speaking
your
out loud.
video up. Yes. Let's see.
You are multitabbing and
I
you're just
know.
looking to the game.
Oh, you must choose sides. It's your turn. So, when did I know I was
My
a
turn.
comedian? Probably, sometimes I still don't really think of it that way, but probably the first time I bombed really, really hard and was okay with it. Just sort of like, that happens sometimes. I think that's an important
Mhm.
moment.
Okay. So I've never done stand-up comedy. I don't think I'm the right person for that, but I've done some improvisational theater, and I like that kind of challenge where you need to improvisational theater is different because it's not script, so you don't need to prepare the text and then practice the text and then deliver the text. It's just deliver based on the rules of the improvisation. But I guess that if you need to prepare text, rehearsal, etc., you need to do your self-evaluation to see if the joke is good or not, right? So how do you do that? How do you know that you have created this joke and the joke is ready for a stage? What's your process?
Kind of like if you were a chef and wondering if the food is ready for the table. Like if you think it
Uh-huh.
tastes good, then put it
You,
out
you,
there and see what
uh,
people think. You know,
it's your gut feeling. So it's a gut feeling.
it can be a gut feeling, or you think it's funny. And one
Okay.
thing about comedy is a joke is rarely, if ever, finished. So comedians are constantly evolving uh, comedians are constantly. Oh, this is your turn. Constantly
Yeah.
evolving the jokes, making them funnier, whatever. So the first time you tell a joke, people probably aren't going to laugh. It's probably not that funny, and that's why we have open mics and other venues where we can just try new material. Uh, so then it's just like ongoing process of trying to see how much better you can make it over time and
Hmm.
experimenting,
Hmm.
live experimentation, which is pretty cool.
So that's the concept of the comedy lab that you mentioned before. A comedy lab. You go there to experiment jokes.
It was called Comedy Lab, but a lot of the time it was also a showcase show, which is like this is polished material versus an open mic, which is experimental or newer material, things like that. So we have a little bit of both here.
Okay. I see that this is a deeper rabbit hole that I thought before, right? There's specific vernacular about the types of acting,
The types of shows
certain
we have.
levels, different levels of expertise, if the joke is just done, medium rare, perfect rare, etc. So yeah,
Yes.
that's interesting.
Yeah, no, the kind
And
of more prestigious or like better the show is, the better material you do. You do more of like your very polished material versus your all the comedy
okay.
secrets are coming out. It's just a magic show.
Well, maybe some of the people that click this video, they got hooked by the humor, stand-up, comedy, etc. So that's also some shared and some tips that you're leaving for everyone that is watching and would like to follow the same path as well. So thank you for sharing that. Um, I've seen some of the stuff that you you already have public. And I found it very fun. One of the jokes that I saw, which is you present yourself as being, I'm an American, and someone laughed. And you were like, what? Why is this person laughing just because I said I'm an American? Right. So that reaction was funny. I don't even understand why the person laughed. But what was the best audience reaction that you ever had, or the craziest? Or, yeah, because things could go crazy when you do stand up comedy, right?
Yeah, I think I mean, laughter is always a great response. I think what I like the most is when people lose total control of themselves and they make noises that are just so far from human noises, you know, whether it's snorting with laughter or gasping or sometimes being shocked, like against their will, they are laughing and making noises almost like they have no control. I think that's a pretty wonderful response to get. And then
Hmm.
when people, if they come up afterwards and talk about how something was meaningful to them or they really connected with it, I think that's a pretty cool experience as well.
Okay. Yeah. Like anyone that is performing, if they get that feedback, it's always good, right? It's always
Yeah,
very
yeah. If they're
enriching.
like, "Oh, that's exactly my experience. I know exactly what you're talking about." It because comedy is all about connecting with people. For me, at least, it's one of the only spaces we still have where nobody's on their phones and it's a live audience. It's not watching TV or a movie. It's just everybody present together, which is a kind of a rare thing these days. So I think it's really cool to have that experience still.
Okay. And what about the opposite? What was like the worst reaction you had? Any horror stories? Something that was thrown at you?
Thrown, I don't think anything's been thrown at me. I've had people yell at me afterwards for the um, content. Like when I was hosting a show, I've had people yell at me for the content of some of the comedians' sets and not even let me
Okay.
speak, just sort of scream at me because they disagreed with some of what the comedians said. But that's considering someone I know has been punched in the face after one of his comedy sets. Um,
Mhm.
my reaction isn't as bad as that. So thankfully, nothing super horrible has happened. Just sometimes people like getting yelled at
Mhm.
for, people disagreeing with the points of views of
Okay.
comedians on stage.
Sometimes people don't remember that they are watching some comedy material, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
they become offended because of that. Okay.
Yeah, they can become
Um,
offended or just, people are coming at this from all kinds of different positions.
you've performed in at least in the US, in Portugal now, but maybe in other countries as well,
Spain
besides
and
these two.
Denmark. Yeah.
Okay. Is it is there a difference between the audiences in these countries? Have you noticed anything worth sharing?
There can be a difference. A lot of the comedy shows, at least in Europe, are sort of from this expat immigrant diaspora where it's like English speaking people. So a lot of the times it's like the same kinds of people, but
Yeah.
then local crowds can be a little bit different. I love performing in Portugal because I think Portuguese people have such a fun, self deprecating sense of humor. Like it's a lot of Portuguese people are open to sort of jokes about Portugal in the way that sometimes people from the US are a little
Okay.
more sensitive about jokes about the US. So
Interesting.
so I like
Interesting.
that. In Copenhagen, it was also a little different. Like everyone warned me that they wouldn't laugh a lot. They'd smile a lot, but maybe not laugh a lot. But I didn't find that to be true. Maybe just because I'm so
Okay.
funny. But
You just amaze them, right? You break all the ice,
yeah,
all the Nordic ice. So you mentioned that sometimes some people get offended or even react badly, etc. So it's that thin line between being funny and being offensive, right? So where do you stand when it comes to the line between being funny and offensive? What's that line for you, if there is a line?
yeah, there's definitely a line. I think the important thing is considering who the victim of your joke is, like who you're really making fun of in the scenario. We have a thing in comedy. We
Hmm.
always say like don't punch down. So if it's disadvantaged people, people who are worse off than you, people you have privilege over or whatever, usually it's probably not going to be the best outcome to have those people or those situations be the butt of a joke. But
Hmm.
punching up, so like especially people in positions of power, that's why a lot of times people focus on political comedy, commentary like that,
Yep.
because it's punching up. Like we're allowed to criticize these people. It's important. So I think keeping in mind sort of who the victim of that joke is and the purpose of telling it. Is it to
Hmm.
make fun of people that you find are worse off than you, or is it to have some comedy or some commentary? And if you're going to go a little edgy, then to me, you better have a really good punchline.
Interesting. Just to be clear, you mentioned don't punch down. So imagine that you are joking about children with cancer. Right? Imagine it, you don't make those jokes at all, or just for example, if there is someone that could be offended by that topic in the room, then you don't use that joke.
More like you could make a joke out of that. You have to go in knowing it will be a really sensitive situation, but you don't ever want that child to be the victim of the joke, like making fun of that child. At least I wouldn't want that. But you could make fun of it, like what what is the cause of this, you know, pollution in our environment? What's the cause of it? You could make fun of sort of, and here's what's happening because our society is collapsing, or something that is pointing to a larger outside factor. That
Hmm.
particular example would be a little hard for me personally to make a fun joke out of, but I'm sure some people would be talented enough to find something there.
Isn't punching down, could that be considered dark humor? Dark humor?
Could be. I think if you still just need to do it or again, I would feel I would still need to do it in a skillful way and understand why I'm making those jokes and what can come
Okay.
out of that in the end.
So what is dark humor for you then, for us to be aligned? Because you also are a fan of dark humor, so that's why I wanted to bring that context.
Yes. So, dark humor for me is making jokes about the more sort of taboo topics in our society, especially when it comes to mental health. For me, it's like mental health, self harm, and those sorts of topics, where I typically play with humor when it's dark
Okay.
and death a bit as well. Yeah,
Mental issues and death. Okay.
yeah.
So what first made you interested in connection between humor and mental health, existential struggles? Because you have a book, right? You published a book that makes that connection.
Yes, the full on existential crisis activity book. Uh, I think I've been a fan of dark humor for a long time. As I mentioned, I grew up on a farm, but in addition to being a farmer, my dad was also a deputy coroner. So someone who works
Okay.
at a morgue. So weirdly, I spent a lot of time in a morgue as a child.
Facing death, seeing death, what death really is, right?
Yes, and the people who work in those sorts of places need to have to cope with the grief and the tragedy and the day in, day out nature of the job, need to have a relatively dark sense of humor to get through it. It's gallows humor, it's this sort of thing. You need to be able to find something light in all the darkness, otherwise you'll go crazy. So I think from a young age I was
Right.
exposed to that kind of humor, and I've always appreciated how dark humor can be a bit of a vacation to difficult times.
I'm looking here for a personal story. So, do you remember a moment when humor helped you to go through something dark or difficult? You mentioned your father and the way he coped with death, right? But personally, do you remember any moment that dark humor helped?
Yeah, so part of this reason for well, I want to make this move first, and then I'm going to answer this question because I want to focus on the question.
Okay.
But okay, hold on. Let's see.
Don't steal my reds. Don't
Oh,
steal my
you
reds.
said that a
So
little too late. You said that a little
because
too late.
I still have to. But Azul is specifically for you, and Jen. Azul is a game that we are playing the friendly Azul. But then there's another level that one day you may reach out
Wrote
and get to that
Azul.
stage, which is instead of just picking what you want, you pick what the other ones want, right? So then you will experience that bad karma in person.
I see. I see. Okay, I try not to do that. Okay, so my most recent experience with this.
The moment that humor helped you.
Yes. So over the last part of the reason for writing this book is over the last 9 months or so, I've been going through a divorce, after being with somebody for 15 years. So obviously, besides the
Mhm.
death of a spouse, I've learned that divorce is one of the most grief-provoking things that can happen to a human being. So it's been a difficult time, and this book that I made is some of the catharsis I needed to sort of get through my experience of, this major life transformation for me.
Did you do those activities that you now recommend for other people to do in the book?
Some of them, a lot of them. I mean, since I created them all, drew them all, whatever. I haven't completed all of them myself, but they're all things that sort of made me laugh or entertained me or gave me good moments, sort of away from the just the stresses and the worries of the day to day. So I found it to be
Okay.
just a really therapeutic experience as well.
If we try to look at what we are discussing here, Jen, from a psychological perspective, what really happens, in your opinion, when you laugh in the middle of a grief or in the middle of a crisis? How is it helping from a psychological perspective?
I'm not a psychologist, but I can pretend to be one for a moment and let me
Let's try.
hypothesize.
Let's try.
So I
Let's
know
try.
when people laugh that there are sort of happiness hormones released in your brain, serotonin and the like. So there is that aspect going on. I think also laughter kind of gives you a break, an escape. It In order to laugh at something, you have to be able to put like a mental distance a little bit from it. And looking at things in a
Mm-hmm.
humorous way can give you a different perspective of how to consider this, how to look at
Wow.
it, and can detach it from you, detach the experience from you a little bit. And comedy, we say a lot that like comedy is pain plus time. So it's not always you can immediately see the humor in the situation, but often with time, things can become funny.
That's so interesting. I have a psychology background, academic background,
Ah, you're the one who
and it's
should
the
be
first
talking
time.
about this.
No, I want to be as good as you, trust me. But it's the first time that I hear such a valid explanation for what's happening in a grief moment, and then how humor can help to distance yourself from the problem and be able to see it from a distance and find that situation funny. And then once you take a look at that from a distance, maybe you change your insight, you see things different, and that helps. So yeah,
Yeah, for sure. So
makes perfect
I had
sense.
an experience like at the beginning of this entire divorce process, I needed to get a marriage certificate sent from the US to Portugal. So I had my mom try to help me get it. I spent 150 euros for FedEx to ship it to me. Uh, and when it arrived 10 days later, the package was in a different envelope, ripped to shreds and soaking wet, just dripping wet. I don't
Hmm.
know. So at the time, I cried because it was like just so stressful and I'm trying to get these processes done. And then like I spent $150 and it just is this mess, wet thing. And my friend was with me and she's like, one day you're going to look back and laugh at this. And I said, absolutely not. This will never be funny to me. This is horrible. And now, obviously, looking back, that's actually really funny. This much needed document just arrived 3 types of destroyed. And that was a good metaphor for this experience of time and humor.
At least today you are able to laugh. At least today.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, I got one tile
Mhm.
left.
So before I continue here with asking you some things, I can see that I'm not sure if you look at the scores, Jen, but for someone that never played Azul in your life, you are now it's scoring, right? But before the scores, you were 10 points ahead of me. So I think we can see that competitiveness coming there. Let's see
Yeah.
how it goes. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. I don't know. I
But
just looking
now,
at
no,
colors. Oh,
but
now
now
you're
I'm
ahead.
39.
Okay.
Yeah, now I'm
Mhm.
ahead. So let's turn on that competitiveness from
Mm.
your side. We want to see that struggle. We want to see that
But if
struggle.
I can't flip a
Okay,
physical board, it's just not gonna happen.
you can flip. You cannot flip the table unless you
I'll
disconnect,
just flip my
and we
entire
have a
table. Yeah, my laptop and everything.
okay,
Yeah.
and we see everything flying around you. You have books behind you, and I wanted to also talk to you about your book. And again, if everyone is interested, just take a look at the video description. The link is there for Amazon to
Oh,
see for
cool.
yourself what we are talking about.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
There it
yes.
is. Okay, there it is. Yeah. So you also mentioned that personal episode of a divorce, and then the activities help you to go through that. Was that the inspiration that you had to create this book? Also to have allow other people to have that same help through difficult times.
Think so. I mean, it's something that I've been thinking about doing for a while. Um, just making some kind of activity book uh, as a sort of a test pilot project because I like activity books, but I find a lot of them are pretty soulless, as ironic as that sounds. I think
I understand
yeah,
soulless.
when
Yes.
it's just like
Yeah. Generic.
color this flower mandala, while that's nice and peaceful, I often don't think it's very realistic or true to the experience that people might be having that, you know what, everything's not all lotus flowers and affirmation and gratitude journaling. Like sometimes things just suck. And we need an activity book for people who face that sometimes.
Can you give us some examples of activities that you have in your book for us to understand?
Yes, so I have one of my favorite activities in the book is a drawing exercise where you get to design 4 lower back tattoos for your next downward spiral. So there are drawing exercises. Let me see if I can find it here. Um, there's also like complete the drawing exercises with sort of suggestive starts. We have crossword puzzles about prescription drugs. We have Mad Libs where you get to create your own affirmations. We have games that you can play either by yourself or collaboratively. Some
Hmm.
mazes. You get to write haikus, and you can even do a little Ouija board with your tears. So wherever your tears fall, that's a message from the universe.
Okay, interesting. We're talking about a very specific topic here, but I also noticed that you are author of other books, fairly different from this one.
Yes.
Fairly
Yeah,
different.
this is I mean, I am a fiction writer as well, and I've published several short stories. Some of them have an element of dark, some of them are quite funny and light, other ones are more dramatic, but, they all sort of have a fantastical element to it, like just sort of wishing life was just slightly different than it is, or, uh, I a couple years ago was published in Space and Time magazine, which is a pretty well-known speculative fiction journal, and, my story is
Okay.
about, like, a self-aware spaceship that's forced to go into battle, but it doesn't want to, so it has
Hmm.
to become this killing machine, but it really doesn't want to, but the people on board have
Okay.
no idea that the spaceship is sentient, and so it's just sort of its own thought process. As you can probably guess, a lot of what I do is very, very reflective on the mental process.
Okay. You like sci-fi books?
I do like sci-fi books. Uh, I like magical realism and like speculative fiction. I'm not a huge, really hard sci-fi fan, but I do like
Hmm.
sort of imagining the world as a little bit of a different place.
Okay. Like utopian realities.
Oh,
Doesn't need to be
oh
space
no,
included,
I
right?
messed up. Okay, I
You did?
did. Oh no. Do I have to throw these away? Oh no, I can put one here.
No, you can undo. There's an undo
Oh,
button.
undo my
Oh,
selection.
then that's
Okay.
undo.
Thank
Okay.
you. That was my gimme. You don't need to do that again.
So
Okay, please, please, can you repeat your question?
it sounds like you like stories about utopian realities, right? Doesn't need to have space included or space traveling or to be on planet Dune. It just needs to be alternative realities where the rules are different.
Like I have a story about a woman who finds like a homeless woman who finds a suitcase behind a KFC dumpster, and she wants to know what's inside. Is there treasure? Is there money? Uh, and she opens it, and it ends up swallowing the moon out of the sky and shutting it. Now she's walking around
Mm-hmm.
like the world goes into chaos, and she's walking around with the moon in a suitcase trying to figure out what the hell
With
to
the moon.
do because everyone's going to blame her, you know. So there's just like that one element of magical uh, stuff in here. I think
Okay.
I'm stuck. I don't really. What can I do here?
Yeah. I think you can have the light blue and put it on your third row.
This patterny
At
one
least
or the
the light blue one. With the
the
patterns, yes,
pattern?
with the
Okay.
pattern. But that's not looking good for you,
No,
or Jen.
no.
Let me
I'm
tell
getting
you. Let me
distracted
tell you.
talking about my
'Cause I,
creative work.
yeah, I'm sorry. I invited you for these activities that require
It's
you
okay.
to be
I wanted
multitasking.
to show my
So
dominance in the first round and then back off and let you win for the rest of it because I'm a good person.
yeah,
Yeah, you're
thank you,
welcome.
thank you, thank you. So help me if I'm wrong, but I think you are also co-author of different books, and one of them about Lisbon.
Yes. So in my writing group that I mentioned earlier, we have a couple people who are sort of prolific writers and frequently published uh, writers. And one of them, almost every year, every other year, sometimes every 2 years, creates a compilation of short stories that are all somehow connected to Lisbon. So it's called Living, Loving, Longing Lisboa. And then we solicit
Hmm.
stories from people who live in Lisbon, who have other connections with it, and I'll put it together in a volume that I think now we have 3 editions of it. But it's really cool because it's Lisbon
Hmm.
from different perspectives. So
Okay, your personal perspective, or you're like assuming a fictional character as well.
uh, I don't think I can play anything.
I think you need to send things to negatives. Yeah, so it's not looking
Okay.
good. I'm gonna if you leave the blacks to me, I'm gonna try to absorb them because I have some space there, some bandwidth on my
Oh,
bottom
I
row.
see.
But yeah, I'm afraid to
Oh,
look at the
I
score.
see.
I'm afraid to
I
look at
can
the score.
only put a blue one there on that row. That's why nothing. Okay. Now I understand.
Yeah, yeah. So this short story is your personal perspective on Lisbon, or a fictional character that you came
For
up?
some people, it's their personal perspective. My story in the most recent volume that we've had is called Pink Street, and it is about like an Erasmus student who comes home from a one night stand
Hmm.
and in the morning
Hmm.
realizes she's gained a sexually transmitted third eye. So it's
Okay, that
that happens,
happens. Yeah,
So her and her
that
roommate are
happens
trying to
in
figure
Lisbon.
out what to do about that. So that one's not
Hmm.
based on my
Okay.
personal experience.
No. So I was just using this as a way to get into your personal experience in coming up and living in Portugal and Lisbon. So how did you end up in Portugal, Jen?
Uh, so I've always liked international living, international things, international communities. Before Portugal, I lived in Taiwan for about 3 years as well. So my then husband and I, at the time, 5 years ago, decided to move here. We wanted a bit of an adventure to get out of the US, and just live somewhere new. And Portugal, I think, is a really wonderful country, great balance of things. And I like that it's tucked away all the way to the west. Feel very protected. You know, it's good.
Hey, okay. So for someone that lived in the US, then you mentioned some countries. I don't know how long you lived there. Then Thailand, and now Portugal. So what are the biggest cultural differences that you find in Portugal, especially between the place you grew up, Chicago, and Lisbon?
Well, I grew up on a farm, so even Chicago is quite different from that. Some of the big
Okay, it's a Chicago farm.
it's a corn and soybean farm,
Different
yes.
Chicago. It's not the gangster Chicago. It's not the gangster
I did
Chicago.
live
That
in gangster Chicago. I did live downtown Chicago for almost 10 years, but I grew up, on
okay.
a family corn and soybean farm.
So you see that's a stereotype when you talk about Chicago to a Portuguese person. The first thing that pops in mind is
Yes,
gangsters, right?
absolutely.
Which could be very offensive to you, but I'm sure you handle it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what everybody says. Just like with Portugal, everyone's like, "Oh, do you
You've
eat
heard
a lot
that.
of codfish and pastel de nata?" You know, I'm sure you get that too. So it's just a cultural stereotypes, but it's fun. So some of the big cultural differences,
It's
I think,
yeah.
uh, when I first moved here, I realized I thought people were quite patient, which is which is nice. You know, like are willing to wait for things. Like if someone's unloading a trunk on a car, then it will be a couple minutes before someone starts honking. Where in Chicago, it would be like right
Okay.
away, you know? Or like at a counter, people like you just have to wait a lot and people are generally pretty patient about it. I think more so than
Not in Chicago. So if it takes more than 5 seconds, someone is going to pull a Tommy gun,
exactly.
A Tommy
It's a
machine gun.
major threat that we have in the city. Um, yeah, so that's one.
Okay,
That's one
interesting,
cultural
interesting.
difference. I also the importance of sort of gathering together with other people over working, I think is pretty big difference between the US and Portugal. You know, it's better to take like a 2-hour lunch and like talk to people and with coffee than like spend 10 hours a day working a lot of the time. So I appreciate that perspective. I
Hmm.
think that's nice. I feel a little more community minded here.
I'm sure that there must be pros and cons, but looking at the good things, is there any Portuguese habit or tradition that you've adopted that you would like to
I
share?
love the Portuguese art of complaining.
I need to teach me that. What do you mean by that? The heart of
I'm
complaint.
oh, I messed up this damn it. I've never been somewhere with better Google reviews. You know, like if you start reading Google reviews for places in Portugal, it's just amazing. It's like the slightest inconveniences, you just take stars off. It's great. But I think compared, especially to the Midwestern US, Portuguese people are a lot more vocal about
Hmm.
things that they don't appreciate or they don't like, or like if they get bad service or whatever. I think there's a much more of a culture of sort of, there's even a book of complaints, you know, I was trying to fix problems.
Isn't there a book of complaints in the
Not
US?
that way. Not like an official legal, you have to address this, otherwise you get sued. We don't really have anything like that.
Okay. Not sure if it works in Portugal, by the way. If you whatever you write in the book of complaints, it
Somewhere.
goes wherever it needs to go. Yeah. But yes, you can threaten the establishment saying, "Hey, give me the book of complaints," and then, "No, no, no, no,
We'll
no,
fix
take everything." Whatever.
it.
Yes, yes, yes. That's a free meal for you. I offer the beers, whatever.
Yeah.
So you have adopted the habit of asking for the book of
Well,
complaints. Is
just
that it?
sort of like if, you know, appreciating the things that are good, but also making a note of how things could be better. I
Hmm.
think, that's cool.
What else?
What
What else?
other
Anything else?
differences or things I like or things I've adopted?
Things that you adopted that surprised you and you positively and you adopted.
Hmm. 2-hour lunches for sure. I think that's a
2 hour
yeah.
lunches. That's something that Portuguese people should stop adopting because that's not productive
It's
at all. But
true, but it is quite pleasant. So, it does make us, feel a little closer.
okay. We are very close to the end of the game. Uh, Jen, if you notice, it's gonna be I'm gonna complete the first row, and then I've just left a present for you with
Oh,
those
nice.
blacks that I don't think you can fit
I can't.
anywhere. So it's gonna go to the negatives as
Let's see if
well.
I can get
And
0
then
points.
there's let's see. So you were playing in the opposite way, which is get
Yeah,
zero. It's like the chaos prize. So
I'm
you're aiming
aiming
for the
for my
chaos
own
prize.
chaos prize. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to go upstairs and get the matches to give back to you. Yeah. So let's see. Let's see. Because you have so many negatives
Oh, it
there.
went up 3. Oh, it went
You
up
got
7.
you got 2 rows, so the two columns. So that's not going to help for the chaos prize.
Glad this scores
And
automatically. This seems like it would be a long arduous
Yeah,
process
it takes a bit when you're
to
playing
score.
physically.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So yeah, 94 to 49. Not bad for the
Congratulations.
first time. And in the beginning, you were taking the lead on the first two rounds, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember much, but on the first two rounds, it seems like you were taking the lead. So congratulations for that, Jen. And before we go, I always ask everyone that comes to the show if they could recommend me someone that could be an interesting next guest for the show. Who would you like to recommend me?
Meg, she's running this establishment where basically every night there are cultural events. She runs one of the most really authentic places in Lisbon.
Challenge accepted. Thank you, Jen, for accepting also the challenge for being here today and for playing. And I hope that I can see you again in person in any of the events that you host, produce, co-host,
Yeah,
either quizzes or
please
stand-up
come.
comedy.
Yeah.
Everyone that is interested in following and checking for themselves, the links are in the video
Exactly. And
description.
on my Instagram, I always put sort of my upcoming shows and stories of like next shows, so you can always see what's on. And then most Wednesdays, I host the quiz at Diffuse in Saldana, which is where we met and a really fun time. So I hope to see you all there. And thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks.